Hello guys, Art-Teeves here. In this video, I'll show you the sped-up process of texturing this stylized sticker radio. Let's get started. First, I want to give you some details. The model has something between 4 and 5K polygons, so it's not completely optimized. I'm not baking smooth edges, etc. The model consists of two elements, the radio itself and the polygon that will shield the speaker as an improvised cage. This is intended, obviously, for all transparent elements shall be separated from non-transparent elements to work in game engines. I bake the model as a 4K texture, yet it will work just fine as a 2K texture. If we shrink it to 1K, however, some stickers will become blurry, yet it can still be used in some games or scenes. My texture padding is set to 16, textures are properly normalized, subsampling is set to 16, ID section is disabled, and the amount of rays is set to its maximum on all tabs. I'll skip the part of the video where I play around with preset painted metal and dusty plastic materials, trying to figure out the final looks of our radio. I only do this because I don't have a reference image that would contain a proper color scheme. This is never a great idea, to be honest. I make a black paint layer with high roughness value, mask it, and use a polygon fill tool to highlight all cavities. Then I reduce the layer's color opacity in its blending settings. Also, I've changed my mind and made button frames and frontal panel metal instead of plastic. I've used the same default painted metal material for it. This darker material is also applied to radio legs. I switch my shader to the one that has alpha blending enabled and activate the opacity channel. First I make the polygon that covers our speaker completely transparent. We will work on it just a little bit later. Now I add a UV map to viewport to access the speaker polygon group, which is now hidden behind the transparent polygon. I create a fill layer, apply a black mask to it, and then apply fill with a weave grunge that imitates fabric. I increase its styling greatly for it to be barely noticeable. Also I add a dark background to it. Then I create another layer, mask it, apply fill, and use a hexagon pattern to imitate the structure of our speaker. You can play around with its height, roughness, color, and tiling. Since we are dealing with a stylized and somewhat cartoony model, we can use a slightly lower tiling than the one we would use for a realistic model. Now I switch to a transparent polygon and perform a trick that I have learned from a great Zero Bio YouTube channel. Hope I spelled that correctly. I create a fill layer, apply a black mask to it, fill it with the tile generator, and then use the square squeeze as a shape. Now I simply play around with its settings, squeeze it on Z-axis, and prolong these bars to make them cover the gap completely. Obviously, you may use only the opacity channel for this layer, while placing the proper material below it. Also you may play around with tile generator, using other shapes to fill in the pattern. To add an improvised frame, I simply paint it with follow along path tool using a hard brush. You keep access to its settings at all times, so you can play around with its material, thickness, path, and some other things. I use several copies of a default plastic dusty material for buttons and round switches. I play around with its color, and obviously the color and opacity settings of corresponding dirt layers. Finally, I get something like this. I've painted my stickers in Photoshop, using high smoothing settings and my old tablet. Nothing really special about it. However, I think Illustrator would be a much better choice, because it has many ways to play around with vectors. I don't think I paint this tree much better than a typical 7-year-old child, so I've decided to only show you some final steps here. Once I'm done painting, I go to blending options and use a stroke setting to create a comical white frame. Then I create a different layer, place it underneath my main layer, and complete the frame myself. Next I merge new layers and add a second stroke to create a thin, darker frame. To apply stickers to the radio, I create a separate folder, a separate paint layer, switch to projection mode, and put my inputted sticker into my base material input. You can use a combination of Shift right mouse button to scale your sticker, or shift left mouse button to rotate it. What I am showing you is a very basic approach. As you can see, we aren't changing roughness or height of our stickers, so they may look like paintings rather than actual papers. To have a better access to your settings, you shall turn your sticker into a black alpha and play around with other channels. You can apply an HSL filter to reduce the lightness of your stickers for them to blend better with the rest of the weathered model. Also, you can add a drop shadow filter and play around with its settings to make your stickers stand out from the rest of the model. Finally, you can apply some preset smart masks and play around with their global balance to apply some visible damage to your stickers. You can also use some uneven brushes and a paint layer to paint the damage yourself. Make sure the brush flow is set to its maximum, and so is the hardness of your brush. I repeat the same process for 3 remaining stickers. Next I create a paint layer, set all of its blending options to pass through, and use the clone stamp tool to seal away all UV seams. I won't show you the whole process obviously, for it is rather long and nothing new happens there. Your main goal here is to break most unnatural straight lines. Finally, I create 2 fill layers and apply some dust and also some ground dirt to my radio. It is a beach radio after all, so it has been frequently used in sand. Make sure not to apply dust and dirt to your transparent polygon layer. I've made that mistake and I had to fix it later on. Thanks for watching, guys. If you got any value from this video, be my guest and subscribe to my channel for more stylized content. And most importantly, have a great day.